Hello, hello. How is everyone doing? Welcome back to our show, which is the Songa Stock of Change show, where we change people's mindset way of thinking with the aim of making a difference, and that's why we are here today. So on today's show, I have a guest, as you can see. So hope you're excited. I know she's excited, right? Yeah. So today we don't have much to say. We're gonna just discuss like few questions based on motherhood. She's a mom. I'm a mom. And we just flow with that, and you learn something from us being moms. Yeah, and that is it. And for the guest for today, before she introduces herself, so we were living in the same house back in campus like 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So she was my house manager. I know when you talk about a house manager, people think maybe someone employed to help you in your house, but no, that's not the case. Okay, we were like 8 people in our house.
Yeah, it was about, I think it was actually, 8 girls total.
Yes. So we were 8. There were 2 Americans, of course, her roommate and herself. So we have kids around. So we were 8 in our house. So 2 Americans, 1 Kenyan, 1 Indian, and 2 girls from China. So it was an international house. So she was our leader, our director, like everything to do with rules, regulations of the house, everything. She was our mom of the house. We can say like that. So yeah. So you see, you just need to treat people well, because you never know when you can meet. Sorry, we have kids. Okay. You never know when you can meet. You never know how you can meet. So just treat people well. You see, 5 years back now, we met again, and not just meeting. We also married kind of in the same family, Yeah. Like my sister-in-law has 2 girls. Those 2 girls are married to brothers, and those brothers happen to be the brother to her husband.
Yeah.
It's a long story, but long connection in terms of explanation, but we are that close. Yeah, so without wasting time, welcome to our studio.
Thank you.
Our guest, her name is Savannah. So let's welcome her. Yeah, do you want to say something before we start?
Yeah, well, so good to be here. Like Judith said, it's just crazy to have small worlds come together. To be in the same house together in college, and now 4 or 5 years later, getting to reconnect, as we're both mommies now. So
yes,
it's a lot of fun.
We are moms. Yeah, so back to our questions. As we said, we're going to discuss like few questions based on our experience as moms. Mom, go on. Go and play. We have kids. So,
moms in action.
Yeah, you'll bear with us. Okay, you'll bear with us. We have kids around. So we're going to just roll in, with the questions. So I'm going to ask Savannah like few questions, and we can ask, as we just discuss, I can say something, she can say something. That is it, okay? You will learn, I will learn, and that's how we do it. And that's why it's Talk of Change show. Yeah. Sharing ideas, and that's how we roll. Let's jump in. Okay, so Savannah, how do you feel being a mother right now?
It has been a lot of fun, honestly. Like we have been blessed with a very chill little baby, but have just been, I feel like there's been a lot of amazing groundwork that's been laid for us too. I was blessed to have an amazing family. My husband was blessed to have an amazing family. So as we're entering parenthood, it just feels very natural and right, and it's been really fun.
Yes, as you can hear from my friend or family member, yeah, being a mom is a very unique feeling, and it's just, for me, I feel like it's a blessing. I think that's more of a blessing, and that's enough just to describe it. It's a blessing from God. We appreciate, we are grateful. Yeah, and we can't wait for more, right? Yeah, so another question. What was your first feeling when you first saw your baby?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people describe this just like overwhelming emotional experience when they first look at their baby. I think for me, that happened a few hours later. I was sharing with you earlier that we did a home birth. And so I think for me, it was kind of once Kyle caught him and immediately put him on my chest, for me, it was kind of like a, whoa, we did that.
It's
I
real.
just did that. Like, wow. And then I think I was kind of more curious with the everything after that, just watching them clean him up and things like that. But it was a few hours later where just an emotional wall hit me, like, oh my gosh, I love him so much. And it was,
that's cool.
Hit me a little later. But initially it was just kind of curiosity. Just like, wow.
Yeah, and then on my side, you know, like before being a first mom, you keep watching stuff like videos, preparations, you know, just to prepare your mind, right? So for me, I used to watch like different videos of people giving birth, but now the moment came where it's real. This is me, you know. So we have kids, so we have to deal with, you know, moms are there to multitask. Yeah, so I was saying, for me, just having that baby, that moment, basically just seeing my own baby, I was confused. Not in a bad way, but you know, seeing it's real.
Yeah, just like
because
this is who we've been expecting for
because carrying a human being
now.
in your belly, and then you know, eventually you see the person you have been carrying, you know. It's just a miracle. For me, I call it a miracle.
Yeah.
Because as much as we have science attached to it, but at the end of it, it's just a miracle that God, you know, has performed, or God performed, because it's not just easy, you know, carrying someone like this, you know, and then you push out, you know, I don't know.
It's really, you can't describe it with words. A miracle is really the best way to describe it.
A miracle is the best word to attach to that feeling. Yeah. So then maybe if you can tell us, what's your best sacrifice you have ever given to your marriage?
I'd say probably the biggest sacrifice I have made in marriage is putting my husband through a doctorate program. Like we got married and moved across the country like less than a month or so later, and started a doctorate program, new job. We were in a new state, knew everything. And we were told right at the beginning of the program, it was a joke that we did not appreciate. It was just like, either you come in single and leave married, or you come in married and leave divorced. We're like, well, that is not an option for us.
You can do it.
So what do we do to not just survive the program? How do we thrive through it? And so I'm thankful to say now that he's graduated and we're done 4 years later, we did thrive through it. But there was a lot of sacrifice on my part of time we had together. Like quality time is my biggest love language, and time is the biggest thing required of you in a doctorate program. So there were definitely many days where I didn't handle the emotions of that well, just wanting more of his time, and him struggling with, I want to give you time, but I've got to study. And so yeah, getting him through the doctorate program and the sacrifice of time, especially as, you know, I'm watching my other newly married friends having like, we're going out to this restaurant, date night every week, weekend getaway again.
For you, you're studying.
We spent a lot of our free time allowing him to study.
Because he needs support and all sorts of stuff.
And so my role was very much getting to support him. And now it's sweet to see how the roles have switched. And now he's working, and now I get to be a full-time stay-at-home mommy, and he's supporting me.
So just on the same question, you just brought up something like supporting your husband, you know, when he was studying, then it was a sacrifice. So something popped up, you know. I always think like, you know, when you get married, you say your vows. I feel like every vow gets tested. That's my experience in my marriage. Like every vow has its own time and has its own test.
For sure.
But you have to, it's different, but it comes in, right? Yeah, so.
Yeah. I would say marriage was God's idea. He invented it, and Satan doesn't like anything that was God's idea. So, and marriage is supposed to be such a powerful example to the world of Christ and his church. So, of course, Satan's going to come along and try to destroy anything that's good of God. And testing it, it's going to be the best way to do that, and we're stronger as a result.
Exactly.
But of course, that's gonna
I think it's just depends on how you deal with situations, the way they come in, you know, because we are all mature people. You just talk about stuff and know how to deal with it. I have the best sacrifice, like in my marriage, just spending time with my kids, you know, pausing my career for a while, just to make sure that I spend time with our girls. You know, that's a huge sacrifice. And it's something that I don't regret, because I get to bond more with my kids than just letting a stranger come in. Because, you know, I always tell people, you know, bonding with your children goes with time, because you can't say, okay, I'll born next year.
Yeah.
But when it comes to your career, you can look for money, you can look for a job anytime, as long as you have papers. So I think that's the best thing I have ever done in my marriage. Then do you think there's something that came in as a challenge after being a mom? Or
like what has been the most challenging thing since becoming a mom? I think for me, initially right off the bat was just like learning to be gracious with myself and being okay with the pace of things being different. I've always very much been I'm very type A. I like having my list of things I like to check off, and very much at the end of the day, I will tell my husband, like, these are all the things I accomplished today, and to the point where he's kind of like, are you, like, is that your definition of a successful day? Like, you have to be accomplished. And that was kind of an eye-opener to me of like, oh, yeah, productivity doesn't necessarily mean success always. Sure. And so becoming a mom, you can attest to our lives are lived at a very different pace. You can't just be like, I'm going to get all these things done this day, because you have a little person who requires your attention, needs to eat.
Yeah, we have kids, so you'll bear with us.
Yeah, you need to play with him. You know?
Yeah.
And so right off the bat, I think just learning to be okay with a new normal. And I think it's been a really healthy thing for me to learn how to slow down and just learning how to, just look at success differently. One of my professors in college actually told, when we asked him for advice, he told Kyle and I that love is not efficient. And so I think that was a really powerful reminder of like, efficiency is not the key in life. Most people don't come to the end of their life and, man, I wish I was more efficient. Because no one is perfect anyway. Yeah, you know? Most people come to the end of their life and like, I wish I spent more time with my people, and loved my people better. And so, just learning how to love my little person better.
Yeah, I think my biggest challenge was time when it comes to church, because, you know, like before giving birth or before just like getting married, I used to be part of praise and worship team. Yeah, so we could go to church like an hour prior to the church service. But now it came to a time where now I had to get the kids. Sit down, mama.
Can you sit with me?
Yeah.
You want to sit here?
Sit here. Yeah, so it came to a time where now I gave birth or I had kids. So when it comes to preparation, like basically I'm always late at church. Yeah. Even my friends can testify that. They keep checking on me. Yeah. Sometimes maybe I'm exhausted. Let me say Saturday nights, I'm exhausted. So when I wake up, like on Sunday morning, sometimes I wake up past church time. Or I get to church late, like an hour or a few minutes late. So I think that's my biggest challenge that I'm still working on. And, you know, we don't force issues. We just go with, like, take one day at a time. Yeah.
Our time's not our own as much anymore.
So do you think you had basically, I'll just frame it like this. What was your biggest fear before having a baby, like before giving birth?
Honestly, fear was something I was very intentional about trying to avoid in pregnancy and just thinking about kids, pregnancy, birth. I just feel like, especially since my husband Kyle's in chiropractic, it's a very holistic industry. We've been able to, I feel like, see kind of a light into alternative medicine has presented, I think, a different perspective of traditional medicine. And so we've seen how much fear mongering there can be in parenting and birth and pregnancy, and just like, it's very much we're taught how to be scared, like all the what if questions, like, if I don't do this, my baby will turn out wrong or whatever. And so that was something we were very intentional about before pregnancy, and then especially during pregnancy. Like, I wouldn't allow myself to Google things. We didn't even have an OBGYN, because I knew they would speak a lot of like, well, you need to do this test because we need to make sure the baby's forming properly, because if they don't, this might happen, and this. I knew it would just be a lot of messages of fear. And our midwife was very well educated. She, if there were any complications, she would know them in advance, and we could go look it up. So it's not like we were just
at home,
just totally like, we don't even care. But we had educated personnel looking out for us. But just really being intentional about trying to be chill about the whole process. And just the mantra that I had over and over, just like my body was created for this, and
you can
people
do
have
it.
been doing this since people existed. So it's not an emergency. This is a natural process.
True.
And so I honestly am very thankful to say I didn't have a lot of fear going into it. And like I said, I had a great childhood. So that was also a foundation laid on of just like that we were able to build on and trusted, like, this is going to be a good thing. So there wasn't a lot of fear for me, honestly. Even going into birth, there wasn't a lot of fear of how it was going to go. Or just very thankful that I was blessed to be able to, yeah, we've got this.
Everything went smooth. Yeah, I think like every person has a different type of fear. Like every mom, when they're in that situation, maybe they're almost giving birth, they think about different things.
Yeah.
So they have different experience, different fears.
Yeah.
So as for you, maybe it wasn't like mine.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I guess probably my fear was more like, what would people think about us doing it differently? Like doing a home birth and stuff like that. Just like, it wasn't about the actual process. It was more about, what do people think? I guess a little bit more. And that ended up being fine. But.
True. Yeah, so as for me, you know, like when you're single, like two people in the house, basically. So every time I could go to work, like I come home like anytime, you know, I can tell my husband, oh, I'm going to my friend. I'm giving my friend a ride. Maybe I have this friend of mine. She doesn't drive. She knows. So maybe she wants to go somewhere. I could go take her, like just, you know, freedom, because you don't have a baby. But now the fact that you're going to give birth. So that was my biggest fear. I'm no longer alone. I'll no longer like just go to my friend's place the way I want to. Like, and then after church, you know, sometimes maybe they say, oh, let's go to a certain family and do ABCD, pray for them, or maybe they have a problem, do ABCD. So we always read like after church, you know, going, because you don't have responsibilities of like, you know, I have a baby at home. But now when it comes to children, you can't just go to places. You can't just, you know, do whatever you want. Like even when it comes to dressing, you have to dress according to how you're going to feed your baby. So that was my biggest fear, not like having time with other people the way I used to, you know. But, you know, by the moment you have a baby, you just feel like that's the best thing. It's like love just comes. You feel like that's the best opportunity just to have your baby than even going out. So, so I think we can try to wind up. Because we have kids moving around, we need to feed them, you know, moms, you know, that's what we are created for. So maybe just to wind up. So what will you advise like a young mom or someone who is almost becoming a mom?
Yeah. I'd say probably just don't overthink things. Like I was saying earlier about there's just so much like, you got to do this for your baby to be successful. If you don't do this, your kid's going to turn out weird. So I think just being able to don't overthink things. Like, oh no, they have a cough. Don't go immediately to like, they're gonna die. Like, just feel like, you know, take things one day at a time, roll the punches, and just don't overthink things. And I'd say the other biggest thing is just have your community around you too. I think the most important kind of healthcare, I would say, is if you have something going on with your baby, call your support group first. Like the other day, Fionn was feeling a little under the weather. I called my sister-in-law. I was able to call a good friend. And that was just a good way to be able to, okay, this is outside of my area of expertise at the moment, but I know people who probably know. So yeah, just being able to try to be as calm and chill about things as possible, and then consult your community when you are able to, before having to go spend money to talk to the experts.
Thank you so much. And I also just say, you know, trust the process, you know, because God cannot give you something that you can't handle. Okay. So trust the process, take one day at a time, step at a time. And everything will just be all right, because everything begins here. Like your mindset, your attitude, that's all everything begins. If you set your mindset free, everything will just run smoothly. So thank you so much for being
Thanks
on
so
our
much for
show.
having me. That was
And
awesome.
okay, just a minute. Don't forget to pray, because you know that's everything that you could ever need in your life, because God is everything. He's the source. Now that He's the one who gives children, basically. So if you pray to Him, He'll just guarantee you whatever you want, your wish, or everything will be fulfilled, right?
Yeah, He gives us the strength to do what we're doing.
Exactly.
So that's probably the biggest piece of advice too. That was a given on top of the other things.
Yes, yeah. So thank you so much for being on my show, and yeah, hope we do this next time. And before we go, we always say, be you, do you, and enjoy your life. And don't forget to do the right thing. And before we go, tell them to subscribe.
So be sure to subscribe to Judith's show. And do remind us where we can find you.
Yes, so of course on YouTube, Wesonga's Talk Show, as you all know. Then Instagram, Judith Wesonga. Facebook, Judith Daria. Yeah, I think that's all.
Everywhere you need.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. So don't forget to subscribe, because that's the need we want. That's the help we want. That's the only support actually we need from you. It's not hard. Doesn't cost anything. Yeah, just pressing the button. We love you, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.